Ultimately, there are so many ways you can describe Steph Curry. I've been up in the Bay Area now for 20 plus years, and I've had the privilege of watching these Steph Curry performances for quite some time now. And I can tell you the Steph Curry performance we saw today against Serbia was nothing short of brilliant in North America. And yes, LeBron James and KD absolutely contributed to this USA win. But there was one surprise player, maybe the most hated man in all of Paris, France. We will talk about Joel Embiid as well. Welcome to the Underrated Pod. As always, North America, I am Dave DeBaugh, coming to you live and on tape from the heart of the Silicon Valley. We are 1 million plus views into this particular channel, so thanks so much for all of your support. Please, of course, subscribe and like this video. All right, so let's talk about Steph Curry for just a minute. Now, the USA basketball team today against Serbia looked, if you will, sluggish for a big portion of the game. In fact, they were actually down by 13 points heading into the fourth quarter. Then they went on a 32-15 run and ultimately ended up winning the game. 95-91 was the final. And LeBron was absolutely huge down the stretch. So was, of course, Steph and, of course, Kevin Durant, who also made some fantastic defensive plays as well in this victory. In fact, those three actually accounted for the last 13 points of the USA 95-91 victory. We'll talk more about Steph and his brilliance. We'll also talk about LeBron James for just a little bit. But first, I did want to give some roses, if you will, to Joel Embiid, who's absolutely, as you all know at this point, hated by the French fans. And he absolutely put down the gauntlet today. He's actually played pretty well in the last three games that he's played in. He had 19. You have to remember, these are 40-minute games. And Joel Embiid, during that third quarter and the early portions of the fourth quarter, was absolutely the glue that kept the USA basketball team in this particular game. There were times as I was watching the game today, I was like, why is Embiid in? Why is Embiid in? And every single time I thought that, he proved exactly why he was actually in the game. Joel Embiid was absolutely clutch today. Now, we all know about Jokic. Bogdan played fantastic. Had a couple other key players on the Serbian team as well. For the Serbians to actually be up by 13 heading into the fourth quarter was nothing short of shocking and surprising. Now, in terms of LeBron James, he certainly did what LeBron James does. He's got that look in his eye that says he's not going to lose. You know, the big difference between the Los Angeles Lakers and when he gets that look with that team and this particular team is there's at least 8 other people on this particular USA basketball team that can match him, or at least try to hold up with him and handle the adversity, versus the Los Angeles Lakers that have a player and a half that actually have that same look that LeBron ultimately has. You can tell LeBron James is refusing to lose. I think this game actually aged him a little bit more. I think LeBron James actually got some more gray hairs in his beard while this game was actually being played. I am just saying. Now, in order to talk about Steph Curry, we have to do Steph Curry conversations in context. And one of the reasons we have to do those things in context is, you know, clearly Michael Jordan and LeBron James, you guys do the debate about who's the greatest basketball player of all time. We can talk about the great centers in the game, and then we can certainly talk about the great point guards in the game, the Magic Johnsons, the Isaiah Thomases, the Allen Iversons, who certainly doesn't get enough credit for how great Allen Iverson actually was. Go back and watch some AI tape. It is fantastic. Now, in terms of Steph Curry, Steph has certainly looked a little old. Let's just be frank with each other, North America. I think it's safe to say that Steph has actually looked a little old during the run-up to these Olympic Games. And while at times we've seen sort of flashes of brilliance, what we saw today is exactly what we are used to seeing up in the Bay Area. Steph, like LeBron, has that look in his eye that says he's going to take over the game. It's sort of a shame that the rest of the USA basketball team didn't have that look earlier in the game, because who knows how many points Steph Curry would have actually scored in today's game. But 36 points, just one shy of Melo's 37 for the most points scored in an Olympic game by a USA basketball player. I will say this. This will go down as one of the most memorable USA basketball Olympic victories I've ever seen. Now, there were some others that will challenge that as well that have certainly happened with the Dream Team. And Kevin Durant's also had some just amazing game-winning performances. But watching Steph today reminds us all of how Steph, and our channel here is called the the podcast is the Underrated Media. And when you think about Steph, he's always been sort of underrated. In fact, if you admit to yourself, you see Steph Curry on the basketball court today and you still would be shocked. You're still shocked and amazed every time he puts up performances like this, aren't you? Steph Curry absolutely proved that he is, once again, one of the all-time great point guards in the history of the game. And we already know that Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of the game. And there's some Klay Thompson fans out there that would say Klay was a better shooter. Look, let's just look at the stats when we talk about this. Let's look at what he's done with the three-point line. Let's look at the overall historic performances of Steph Curry throughout his career. Now, he's certainly grown up over the years. He was saved by Iguodala in one of the championship runs. Certainly having Kevin Durant there played a big role in those victories. But we know that Steph Curry, and I can't believe this has turned into like a Steph Curry love fest, but we know that Steph Curry really is the greatest shooter of all time, isn't he? And not only that, he's probably the most underrated handler of the basketball of all time as well. Watch enough Steph Curry, and you know that Steph Curry finding ways to get himself layups is almost as impressive as those long-range three-point bombs. All right, North America. Coming up for the USA next is going to be France for the gold medal game. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Now, I certainly expect the USA basketball team to bring home the gold. But if they get out sluggish again, it will be a different type of game. The Serbians outside of Jokic didn't have any forces on the inside making those Steph Curry layups actually happen. We know the French have actually played the USA basketball team pretty well, at least through three quarters. I think that the USA basketball team is absolutely going to have to be firing on all cylinders if they're going to have an easy win in the gold medal game. All right, North America, tell me what you think. I want to hear from you. Go ahead and drop in your comments. And I guess that is it. I can't wait for the gold medal game. Steph was brilliant. So was LeBron. KD was just great down the stretch. And you got to give Joel his roses for his performance, specifically in the third and fourth quarter of today's game, as he put up 19 points in 40 minutes of basketball. For the underrated, I am Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. To the guitar riffs, we go.
You've been listening to the Underrated Podcast with Dave Dava, presented by underrated.media.